Hello, how's everybody doing? Today is episode 3 of the Weekend Fix with me, that Ross fella. Today I'm joined by my nanny and granddad, who's speaking for the first time on the case of Terence Wheelock, their late son, who we believe was murdered in Star Street Garda Station. And we're just going to get my nanny and granddad's side of the story and explain where they were, how they felt throughout the whole case. So we're just going to start off with how Terence was that day.
Yeah. I was a happy lad going out, like he was doing up his room. He come down and asked to get paintbrushes. There was none, like, I gave him the money, went to get paintbrushes. But he seemed to be very happy and all and looking forward to doing his room. But when he went there was no sign of him coming back. Now I was in there, I've been washing the curtains now, and one of the lads that was outside knocked at my door and told me Terence was being arrested, like, and I said, what do you mean he's arrested? He said he only had leaving the house like 12:10. He said no, he said he's going into a police van with 3 other lads. So I just looked up the avenue and one of the neighbours up the road was shouting like the way they dragged him, like the way the 4 lads were getting dragged into the van, like, and it was horrible the way they dragged them, like they wasn't running from them or anything. So I told nothing. I went back into the house and thinking like they're just taking him in and they're letting him go. Unfortunately, my son never come back home. God break down. I got a call, knock at my door at 20 to 4. I was hanging up curtains at tile. My daughters were in the house. One of the daughters said, Ma, 3 guardies coming to the door. I said, what are you knocking at the door for? So I went out to open the door and he told me that. Are you Mrs. Wheelock? I said, yes. So what is this, a native? He said, your son hung himself. We need to bring you to the hospital. Of course, I got fell back, I couldn't know what to do. Eventually, took us in the car, me and my daughter Elaine, and we were going in the car. Before we left, the guard was at the phone, on his phone at the car. And then he got in, he said, right, he said, we had to go to James's. So on the way over to James, halfway home, one of the guard turned and said, how did we get to James's, where is it? I was like not thinking that was my son up there.
Very strange that, very strange, he didn't know where he was going.
And I said, I'll show you the directions. I said, well, eventually we got there, and when we got in, I asked him and my son there, and the secretary went in at the desk, went in and come back out and says, now your son is over in the meeting at the hospital, waiting on you to go over. So with that we went over, and when I went in the hospital, the head nurse brought us into a room and told us about Terence. But I still think it wasn't Terence. I thought someone had given his name, like, you know.
Didn't believe it, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. But when they brought me in to see him, they were walking on, I just blanked. I couldn't think.
Didn't know what to say, I think, yeah.
My daughter, all I can hear, my daughter screams in the room. Eventually they took him up intensive care, and I went up after with my daughter, my son, that was Larry, my late son. And when we went up, doctor told us that was 24 hours, she's not going to pull through the night. And my son Larry was asked, what caused this? Well, how did he went home and all? He received a blunt trauma to the head. So
where did that come
it
from?
was very strange, I says.
He didn't do that to himself.
So we were up there all night in the hospital, but he's still there. So come home anyway, I said, I just can't get over it. I can't understand what happened to him. It's strange. Doing up his room, he goes in.
And
Never
doesn't
come
come
back.
back.
I said,
From that time on, nothing seemed to add up. Everything seemed to be completely wrong,
All over the shop.
all over.
Yeah.
I got to the hospital after a phone call, and I was met with two detectives coming out from
The mental hospital.
yeah, we're back at
He's closed.
Terence is close. And I says, where are you going with them? And he said, we're investigating this case. So they went off, and from that day, everything seemed to be wrong. Do you know?
None of it adds up.
None of it adds up. The custody records were changed. The cell was forensically cleaned before
Immediately.
anyone could investigate it or check
Already
it.
scrubbed.
Yeah. His clothes were, when we tried to get his clothes back, we were told they were in Black Rock police station.
Yeah.
When we got out there, we couldn't get them off them, and the solicitor had to go to court to try and get the
clothes.
and it took 15 years to get the clothes back. And even when we got them back, two of the main objects,
Which is the
the
cord.
cord which he was supposed to have on himself, was
Gone.
not back, and the t-shirt with the stains, blood stains, was not back.
Yeah. And they still don't have them to this day.
We're still waiting to get them.
So it says here anyways, there's so many police in the station at one time, yet Terence was supposed to be found hanging from a wall, yet it took them 10 minutes for them to call an ambulance. So what do you make of that?
There should have, sorry,
Yeah, go on.
there should have been, apparently what we know is, there's always a doctor in the police station.
Yeah.
Why was the doctor not brought down to see him immediately? Where was the doctor? And another thing, my son asked for a solicitor. When the solicitor rang, the sergeant at the desk said he could leave the desk to go to him, as was only a few of them on duty.
On the station, yeah.
But what I can't understand, we go to the coroner's court, there's about 60 of them giving evidence. Where did he come from?
And they weren't on duty that day, supposedly.
There's only a few on duty. Now, it even tampered with custody records.
Yeah.
Switched one guard's name off. That should have never happened.
Yeah.
I'm just not pleased what happened to my son. And I know the state is responsible for it.
Yeah.
I just want that.
It's protocol.
Gallery.
The custody records were altered, which is not supposed to happen with any police record.
Yeah.
It's
It's illegal
yeah.
to tamper with any legal records.
They said he had a bruise on his hand.
Yeah.
And one bruise and a mark. Was
And a
it?
bear mark.
Fair mark. And when we got the photographs of his body,
47.
there was 37 photographs showing bruises all over him. Right?
Surely he couldn't do that himself.
Oh no.
Where's they coming from?
No, and what is
As we know, Terence would never do that to himself. He
Mm.
wouldn't. He never suffered depression. He never needed to do anything like that.
Yeah.
Why? He was a happy lad. He come from a happy family. We were all there to speak about our problem. He was always there. We listened to them.
Yeah.
But I can't understand how that happened to him. I just
It
can't.
just doesn't make sense
And I
whatsoever.
still-
Everybody that sees this as well
Yeah.
will be on your side so you can
And
understand
I'm
this.
telling you that this is not right.
Yeah. It just
You
doesn't
should
add
be
up.
accounted for.
Yeah.
You should be accounted for.
You should pay
Because-
for what they done.
Exactly. Because I can't, well, I just can't
When
get
you're
it.
up against the state and you've the best brains in the state on the case,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
You're just
And
not
it's
gonna
very,
win.
it's very hard to get on top of that, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely, yeah.
And
And,
then
and
you
as well
started-
with the ombudsman, it's police
No, we don't
investigating police.
we've no faith in the
You've no
ombudsman.
faith in it now.
No.
But even in the coroner himself, you've no faith.
Yeah.
But another thing too, the horses outside my door at 2 and 3 in the morning. And the other
Dogs.
side looking in my window, shining
Alsatians.
lamps. We flashed torches. We were, don't know why they were doing this. My son Larry.
That's
mental torture.
harassment.
Mental torture and
They took me
harassment,
out of my
yeah.
home. They took me out of my home.
Yeah.
They were trying to get us to drop
And
our
that's why you're not in town anymore, is
And
because
I
of
am,
this
exactly, I'm out in the town, we couldn't
mental
have me get
abuse.
Barbados in.
Yeah.
And I can't, oh,
Every day it was constant abuse.
it was constant
It's
abuse.
not on.
And everywhere I look out, there was a guy on the side.
Mm.
There'd be a lot of people up the other side, but they'd be outside my window.
Yeah.
And
And
they
the
were
funny
looking
thing
at-
was
they
that
laughed.
they left as soon as we moved out.
There was
There
no
was no
doubt.
police.
They were off
Oh,
my
that's
head
good.
altogether.
They were all gone.
Yeah, that was sitting on horses outside. They had dogs.
Horses and dogs.
And my son had to go out to them and ask them, what are you doing outside my door at that hour of the night?
And politicians that were on the case seen this and witnessed it and can verify it,
Yeah.
that were in the house at the time.
Yeah, one
These-
that went out to speak.
These were all outside. In fact, one that went out to speak to them.
the
Yeah,
police.
yeah. That was
Mhm.
Costello.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just
Constant torture and abuse.
terrorised them. They tormented my youngest son.
Mm.
They dragged him straight and they ran through my door another time. My daughter pregnant and pushed her again in the stomach again. About 20 of them went through me door. They grabbed my son. Gavin, nothing, it was only put leaflets in the door and chased them for doing it. They just wouldn't stop. They wouldn't stop harassing us. Anywhere we go on the street, they're pulling them in, they were tormenting them. So I just can't let this go.
No.
I am going to keep going and I need to get
We
justice
will
for my
keep
son.
going.
And we will. And
Yeah.
I suppose we just want to get across what did they say happened, parents?
They
What's
say,
their side of the story
Their side
to
is-
counter attack yours?
That he hung himself. That's their statement.
that's their statement.
And they told her abruptly to Esther that he hung himself just like that,
Mm.
instead of asking to go in, let her sit down, get a cup
Yeah.
of tea.
Straight out of the
Just
first
straight
thing
out
they
into
said
my
to you.
I
face.
know,
Yeah,
and I can't,
It doesn't make sense.
I haven't
and
been the
even,
same 16 years, my family's all fallen apart over this.
and even with the light switch, like the light switch, they said he carved out of a concrete wall with his fingernails.
counter sunk into the wall.
No one had an engineer on our solicitor side looking at it. Said there's no way anyone, it won't take at least 6-7 hours to really.
They
Yeah,
done
we
it.
were-
You needed a tool to do it, you couldn't do it.
And they said he done it, what was it, 20 minutes?
Yeah,
Between the 20
That's
minutes
right,
that
yeah,
he hadn't
yeah.
checked on him,
Yeah.
within
So,
20 minutes he
that was
carved the
supposed to-
light switch out with his fingers out of a concrete wall.
Yeah.
That's only 4 foot, Terence is 6 foot, and they
exactly.
said he hung himself from that. It's just not possible, it doesn't add up.
Now all the time he just
nothing adds up.
No.
all the time he's supposed to be sleeping in his cell, and yet just 10 minutes after to go up to the cell to find him hanging himself. I can't understand.
Mm.
I can't. I just can't get it into my head.
How?
There's no way my son has done that to himself. There's no way.
And that's exactly what we believe.
And
And
we'll continue.
another question is, why didn't he get to speak to a solicitor? So we all know that Terence asked for a solicitor when he got to the station,
Yeah, yeah.
and he was put in there, but he was told he can't have a
Because he
solicitor.
couldn't leave the desk, that there wasn't many on duty.
Yeah,
But when
but
we
then when
went
he
to
went to the
the
court,
court
that's
was
when
called,
he
there was about 60 witnesses in there. I don't know where they come from.
Mm.
I just don't, but I'm very angry.
Yeah.
The state is just gone. I don't, the society is gone.
Mm.
There's no society
It's
at
just
all.
our family against them now.
There's our family against them and we'll continue.
Yeah.
And we really have great support from the people all over. I want to really thank them
Mm.
for standing by. Hail Rain is no day stood out for us.
Yeah.
And we really
And we'll be back on the
appreciate
streets
them.
again, yeah.
I'm very grateful to them for what they've done.
Peaceful protest.
Yeah.
That's it.
They grabbed my son Lance.
Yeah.
That time he was diagnosed with brain tumour. They grabbed him up a lane, make him take the hat off him, saying, where is the tumour? And I was like, he's aiming out for life as well. But my lads wouldn't give up. They went to his last breath for Terence and he would have kept going.
Yeah.
But we promised
We'll
him,
keep
we're not
going.
letting it go.
Yeah. We're
We're
gonna
going
keep
to
going,
continue.
yeah. no matter what
To
it
our
takes.
last breath, we'll
Yeah.
continue.
And
Get
I'll
answers.
continue as well until
And all the guard he's supposed to do this is not even at the police station.
the police is there to protect us, not to take young lives away.
Exactly.
When Terence was arrested, he was only 20 years of age. That's 4 years younger than me I am now.
We had to go to a grave.
His
yeah,
whole
it was
life ahead of
24
him, yeah.
24th
24th
grade,
birthday,
he
had
went
the
to
designer
to the grave. That's no life.
Shocking, no. Shocking.
You had a lot ahead of him.
Yeah.
Had a lot
Well, he's
ahead
had
of
his
him.
whole life ahead of
And
him.
the day he was arrested, he's doing a job in the building site.
He
he
saved
passed.
pass.
Yeah,
The
he
safety
said
pass
pass,
was
yeah.
sent out to him. He wanted to start job and his uncle was getting him into the job, but never got there.
It wasn't to be.
He had everything to look forward to, you know.
His whole life
He was a
ahead.
happy young fella. He was looking forward. I think he was
Alive.
looking forward. He was at the getting close. He was looking forward to going out the
Showing
night,
them off.
the next night,
Yeah.
going off.
My daughter-in-law's brother's 40, he was
That's what
going
it was.
to. He's never depressed because he's always happy around us.
But that's the point
Always.
we always try to make it. You
That
know
was
that.
him singing and
Yeah, anybody that suffers with mental health, you know from just looking at them,
Yeah.
from the signs. If you're around Terence 24/7, surely the
Yeah.
two yous would notice if he was ever in a bad situation or if he was
Probably
ever in a bad mental
Or he come to
situation.
us.
And he
If
never
it's
showed
struggling,
them
he come to us.
signs. Yeah, he always
Yeah.
opened up. He
Yeah.
never showed them signs. So all of a sudden then he's in a police station and decided he was going to take his
Even
own
the
life.
police, the guard that was in there said he was talking to him. He was in the
Very
high
good
spirits, very happy.
And that came straight from a
That
policeman's
came
mouth.
straight from a play in the coroner's court.
What I can't understand, he could spend 5 and 6 hours up in his room. Why would you want to go down to the police station and do something that didn't happen?
Yeah.
When he could have had his room to do it in. Why would he? This is stupid.
Just
My
doesn't
son
add up.
was happy.
And then there was other people that were brought in for drug searches, and they were lined up. Now, these were all gone. One of them stayed. He said it looked fairly staged what happened. We were brought in for drug searches, and what never happens was we were all told to go. So they were all left the station. But your man said it looked very strange and staged what they were doing
So
at
you
the
brought
time.
them in,
Yeah.
lined them up and then sent them
Just
on
pull
the
it
way.
in off the streets and let them witness something and then throw them out.
So
He
they
said,
basically
never happened, he
never.
said.
So they're basically trying to get their own witnesses
Yeah.
to say that nothing ever happened.
That's
And
wrong.
as well, when it happened, the Minister for Justice at the time, who was
Michael
Michael
McDowell.
McDowell,
gave us
he was
Giving
going
us
to give
the
us
phones.
funding and withdrew.
just
Right,
out
right,
of
yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Told us you have his help.
Now
and
we
then-
have wrote a letter
yeah.
to Helen McEntee, the Minister for Justice, just to let you know he had
Yeah.
sent it.
This letter was sent
Yeah,
now, and
Sent
she
to the
should
lady.
receive that this week. So.
yeah. She should receive it.
Hopefully.
Hopefully that she'll respond to it because we need answers and we need them.
Mm.
And we cannot rest till we get answers.
And we will
Because
not.
our child is gone.
And I suppose there's only one more point to make is what is it that we're going to be looking for now going forward?
An independent
Peace of
inquiry.
mind.
Public independent inquiry.
And that's
That's
when
all we were ever looking for.
this whole time,
Yeah.
16 years
Yeah.
is just one thing that we want and we can't
Full
get.
answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full answers. We were just wanting for a child.
Mm.
It took us 15 years to speak.
And this is the first time they have speaking on this case publicly in front of anybody. So,
Yeah.
so that's it, we made every point.
That's it, but no matter what happens with this letter we sent off, no matter what happens,
We still
With
continue.
we will still continue. We will protest outside Store Street every anniversary.
Every single year, without fail.
Mount protests. We have full support from people on the north side,
Mm.
and we're very grateful to them. they supported us all the way.
And even on my social media, I have a lot of supportive people that are constantly sharing this. So everybody that watches this will put this everywhere, and we'll get answers, and we'll get as many eyes on this case, hopefully. Yeah.
2 years ago, brain tumour, he would have continued it.
Yeah.
Possibly you continue from now on.
Yeah. He'd have never given in, and he'd only one wish is to keep this case going and not give up.
Yeah.
So
Until we get justice.
we'll grant that wish for that.
He'd been campaigning for 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, after 10, like, but then,
The whole time,
yeah.
till he took his last breath.
All I want is answers.
Yeah. That's all we want as a family. So that was it. I hope you all enjoy it. Please just share it to all your
Thank you
social
very
media.
much, Eddie.
To everyone that supported us,
Thanks very
thanks very much. We're very grateful.
You're in that short.
What's happening, folks? So obviously if you've stayed this long, you've seen your nanny and granddad talking about Terence's case for the first time ever publicly. Very difficult for the family, obviously, to come out and speak in front of a camera and in front of everybody that'll watch. Obviously we want to say thanks to everybody that's watching and supporting Terence's case, and in our fight for justice. We know we have everybody's support behind us, so I just want to say thanks again. But I have a few points here and I have them wrote down, so I'm going to read them out. So please watch till the very end. These are very specific in the case and in our fight for justice. So I'm just going to read these out to you as well. I'm sitting here. Now obviously you've seen the video, you've seen me nanny and granddad talking and their verdict on the case. Now we've got through some of these in the video, but there's a lot of things. Well, there's not a lot of things. There's a few things we didn't get to go through because it was very difficult for me nanny and granddad to speak. So I'm going to do my own little piece here to add on the end of this podcast. And I want to say thanks to everyone that's supporting. But these are the main things that we want answered. So on Terence's custody record, it states that Terence had a single bruise and a burn mark on his arm. When Terence was transferred to the hospital, there's 37 photos of Terence's body with multiple marks and bruises and injuries. Where did these all come from? There's so many police in the station at one time, yet Terence was supposed to be found hanging from a wall, yet it took them 10 minutes to call for an ambulance. Why does it take 10 minutes to call for an ambulance if someone's like that on the ground? It doesn't take 10 minutes. This just doesn't add up. It's very difficult for me as well to speak about all of this and to read over this, so just bear with me. It's protocol, and we all know this, and anyone from the inner city who has been arrested before, or Star Street, Mountjoy, doesn't matter. If you're arrested in Ireland, Dublin, it's protocol to take out any strings, any laces on your runners or anything like that. It's protocol. You have to do it. You can't leave anybody with things that you think they can harm themselves with. Yeah? Right? So you're with me on this, yeah? So how did he get into a cell with something to do that to himself with in the first place? If any of us are arrested in this today, so it doesn't matter when this was, but if any of us are arrested today, it's protocol to take our strings out and our laces so we don't have anything to harm ourselves or any sharps, right? There's a picture of Terence's bottoms that he was wearing on that day, and in the cut from how he got the lace out, supposedly, it's like it's cut with a scissors or some sort of sharp object. So how did he get in with the scissors? How did he get in with a sharp object? Yeah? So how did he, I find it hard to find the words here. How did he have string on him to do something to himself in the first place? It took them 10 minutes to call for an ambulance. The whole case just doesn't add up, and it's not just me saying this because it's a family member. If I was reading a case like this on anybody's family member, some stranger, I'd be on their side after reading the stuff I'm reading out here. Yeah, 100%. So the cell that Terence supposedly done this in was forensically cleaned before we could get our own people in to investigate the cell. How do you get away with it? How? I don't understand. You get away with scrubbing the cell squeaky clean. It's a joke. It's fucking disgrace as well, excuse me language. Terrence's custody record was altered. One guard's name was scribbled out and it was replaced with a bang guard's name. Anyone on anything on a custody record has to be accurate. So they're tampering with records as well and getting away with it. They're plain blank getting away with it in front of us. We have it in front of us. The family has them records that were tampered with. The manner in which my nanny was informed about what happened. So as you'll see in the video, we got through this point. She was told one hospital, the guard that was bringing her to the hospital didn't know where James's hospital was. So, we'll move on. Terence requested a solicitor. I didn't get to speak to him. Oh. Why did it take 15 years to get some of his belongings back? Which you'll see in the video as well. It took 15 years for us to get 2 items, which didn't solve anything or didn't show us anything. The main things, which is the cord and the t-shirt, the blood all over it, we don't have. There was 7 jurors in the inquest at the coroner's court and they returned a verdict of 4-3 suicide. Almost half of those jurors believed Terence wasn't responsible for his own death and they didn't even see half of the evidence. Why did the then Minister for Justice agree to grant our family the funding for an independent public inquiry and then he withdrew? That doesn't make sense. Why the police harassment on our family? As you see, when my nanny talks about it, it hurts. She moved out of a home in Summerhill because of the harassment, shining torches in the window, making hanging gestures with her hands, constant nagging, constant slagging with my uncle Lala before he passed away. Garda Oliver Hanley was appointed to investigate this case. Bear in mind he worked in Store Street for 15 years and he's investigating policemen from Store Street. Terence requested to speak to his solicitor. The solicitor received a recorded message on her paper. When she rang the station to speak to Terence and find out why he was arrested, she was informed Terence was asleep and was being held and brought to court. When she called back a second time and asked for Terence to be put on the phone, she was told the officer couldn't leave the desk to take Terence to the phone. Terence had no voice that day. Terence could have told the solicitor if he was being mistreated. He didn't get the chance. 20 years of age, bear in mind, everybody. Supposedly on that day, all the clocks in the station weren't right. They were all wrong. The watch on the vanguard's arm was wrong. Oh, that's just a coincidence that on the day someone was murdered in Store Street, and I say murdered because we believe that's what happened, all of the clocks were wrong. Makes sense, doesn't it? State pathologist Mary Cassidy was given evidence of blurred photographs that were given to her by the guards. When our solicitor gave her clearer pictures, she explained they were much clearer and said she couldn't make out the ones the guards had gave her. Mary Cassidy also couldn't explain some of the injuries on Terence's body. So pathologists couldn't explain where he got the injuries from. It just I hope you all stayed by to watch the end of this. It's very difficult for me to even speak, and it was very difficult for me to sit through trying to talk to my family about this. As you all know and have heard from this podcast, and I'm sure most of you have listened to the other podcast my family done, we want an independent public inquiry into Terence's death. That's all we want. And if we can't get that, and if it's not granted, and if it is granted and we still don't get justice that we so deserve, we want to bring this to the courts of justice in Europe. Now, we'll get through all of that in the future. Let's just keep fighting. Thanks to everybody that watched. Thanks to everybody that's supporting Justice for Terence Wheelock on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thanks for all the kind messages. Anytime I post that about Terence, everybody's there to show their support. And trust me, as soon as we're allowed and as soon as we can gather in groups, we will peacefully, and I say peacefully, protest outside Star Street every year without fail until we get what we want as a family. This is very difficult to speak about. The most difficult thing I'm probably ever going to do with my life. All I want is justice. All my family wants is justice. That's it. The person that done that to Terence doesn't deserve to be living a normal life today. He will be found guilty on what he done, or she, whoever. They will be found guilty. All the guards that were there that day will be found guilty, and we will be served justice for Terence Wheelock. That's all we want. Lala's last wish before he passed away was to continue the fight for justice for his younger brother. Terence was 20 years old when he was taken from my family. 20 years old, a mother had to bury her son. She had to spend his 21st birthday in a graveyard. Yeah, this is not on. This is not, the state done this to Terence. We know that, we believe that as a family, and anybody with a bit of common sense that looks at this, that listens to this, and that reads about Terence's case with any sort of common sense can tell you the same thing. Terence, great spirits, always in a good humour, always laughing, always joking, and I know deep down we don't know what's going on with people mentally, but they show the signs, and close family members see the signs and can read the signs. Nobody ever read any signs of Terence being in a bad spot mentally. Even the copper on that day said he was in great spirits in the station, laughing and joking with us. He said that under oath, that he was in great form. So just none of this adds up. We'll continue to fight for justice. I want to say thanks to everybody, and keep showing your support, keep sharing, keep posting everywhere, use the hashtag JFTW, please. Thanks very much for watching. This has been the hardest thing I'm probably ever going to do with this podcast thing. So I appreciate everybody's support and for sticking by me and sticking by my family. We will not stop until we get justice for Terence Wheelock.